for Carlson Software. And joining me today is my counterpart down in the southwest corner of the United States, Boyd Jensen. And together we will be going through some concepts inside of Carlson Civil 2009 that focus on roadway highway design, corridor speeds, and things like that. For those of you who have joined the meeting, well, again, welcome, and we're looking forward to answering whatever questions you have. So as going through the presentation today, areas that you need to get clarification on, feel free to type into the little chat window, and Boyd and I will do our best to answer those questions throughout the presentation. So with that, we're going to jump into it here just a little bit. And again, here's Boyd and myself contact information. We have a number of years of experience in the market, and Boyd certainly is one of the long-term sales guys here at Carlson Software, and has done and seen quite a bit throughout the company's history. As we're going through, I want to talk a little bit again about Carlson Civil. It's a very powerful two-dimensional, three-dimensional civil design for doing all types of civil site and roadway design projects. You have the capability to view design algorithms or design processes, environment, and we'll show you some of that information here in just a little bit. And Carlson Civil by itself is normally a $1,500 package and is one component of our $3,500 Civil Survey Hydro GIS, what we call the Civil Suite. However, one of the things I'd like to announce is that we're actually offering some pricing incentives right now through the end of the year on Carlson Civil with hydrology as one package option. A second package option is Carlson Civil with our survey add-on with a year's worth of maintenance. And then for those surveyors that are in the audience, we also have trade-in promotions going on right now on our new ultra-rugged Carlson Surveyor. And for details, feel free to visit Carlson's website at the link that's provided. And there's additional information up there for your review. So again, we're got some really great incentives right now going on. So for the economy, even though it's a little tough this year with all the things that have been going on, again, we provide some very cost-effective means to get into the Carlson Civil software. I just want to mention just a few of, sort of highlight a few of our top 10 things that sort of set Carlson apart from the rest of the competition. You'll be seeing quite a bit of work today in our RoadNet application to handle all sorts of interchanges and roadway scenarios. We work with any versions of AutoCAD from AutoCAD 2000 up through the current AutoCAD 2009, including map, land desktop, and even 3D if you needed to go that route. And as an extra, Carlson Civil also ships with a built-in copy of IntelliCAD at no extra charge. Our technical support is free, helps keep our software easy to use. We basically utilize just standard AutoCAD types of entities, polylines, blocks of attributes, text, regular text. We don't really make any custom ARX objects for your designs, making your drawings very easy to share with others that might need to work with them. Again, we're a very independent company. We're still sort of a privately held company based out of Maine, Kentucky. Also include Carlson College as part of our arsenal. So for those of you who want and need professional training that gets you continuing education or professional development hours for your licensing purposes, Carlson College is a great way to keep your software skills honed and very sharp. So with that, again, we'll just get into a little bit of it here. Just want to let you know that, again, we provide a very feature-rich product that certainly handles all the same kinds of capabilities that you might spend with other more expensive packages on the market. And we've been, again, in this work now for 25 years. So we have a lot of background in the market and can help you with all kinds of design projects that you might be getting yourself in. So with that, we'll jump right into Carlson Civil 2009. And as I get ready to go into this, one thing that I'd like to sort of start off with is a quick little sort of a modification of what I was originally intending. I was going to go through today and maybe show some more county road kinds of things, but all of a sudden that is very common in the civil engineering market. All of a sudden your deadlines change or your projects, all of a sudden something comes up. And I was tasked with going through and putting together something a little bit more sort of DOT oriented for today's topic. Well, one of the things I was asked to do is provide sort of like a preliminary design proposal for an interchange between U.S. Highway 20 and State Route 84 up in northwest Illinois. And I was provided some information on where that interchange is at in a Google Earth KMZ file. I'm going to go ahead and sort of zoom into the area that we need to take a look at. And again, we've got a site right in here that, let's back out just a little bit, is started off a divided highway road, and there was the start of an extension that was built years ago, and this is just tapers into then a standard two-lane highway that services State Route 84 over here on the east side of the project. And the problem with this intersection is that a lot of the truck traffic, and as you can see, we actually have trucks rolling in through here. For cars that are turning left onto State Route 84, the truck traffic is coming barreling in on a 65-mile-an-hour three-way interchange, and there's been a lot of accidents in this area. And one of the things that we want to try and do then is make this a little bit safer area for the public. So what we're going to do then is use sort of this site as the backdrop for the kinds of work we're looking to do. All right, so I'll just get back into the area of interest that I'm in. And with that, I'm just going to jump out here and close down all my emails, and we'll just say, yeah, that's fine. And what we're going to do now then is start off, we're back into our AutoCAD project in here. I'm going to start up a very brand new project, so it's new option here. Tell the software that I would like to go in, create a brand new folder, and I'll call this maybe Highway 20. And I'll go into that folder and make just maybe a base map drawing. And as we're setting up our project, we're going to go through and tell it to be our data path folder where our data files for this job are stored. And we're going to use a coordinate filing here. Let's go ahead and choose next. And again, I'm just a blank drawing, nothing going on. So one of the first things I want to do, though, is get some data, some preliminary data for the project site. And then one of the first things I'd like to do is just check my units in here. I'm going to set my INS unit, insertion units out of AutoCAD to a value of 2, which is as a foot measurement just out of AutoCAD. And I'm going to use then a tool, actually it's in beta right now through Autodesk, provides me the ability to bring in a Google Earth image. So the first thing I do is set up a layer here for that. And I'll just give it a color of blue for the layer of image background. And we'll bring in then sort of the active backdrop area I have right now inside of Google Earth. And it's going to ask us for my insertion point. I'll take for right now the default 0. And I now have then the image of the area of study that I'm going to be working on. And I don't have state plane coordinates for this right now. We do have a solution that involves Carlson's coordinate filing utilities in our survey application for getting this project into a state coordinate system. That's important to me. For preliminary design, however, I'm not going to concern myself with that and sort of leave it in a local coordinate system for this particular project. Okay. And for the sake of time, actually, for today, I actually have gone through and started to develop the roadway corridors in here that we'll be using. To sort of give you an example, I'll just go ahead and use the civil centerline command, and I'm going to draw in a centerline file. I'm going to go out and grab actually a roadway centerline file on this particular layer. I actually have it built out here a little bit earlier. I was in a different project, so I'm going to go ahead and browse for a different folder that I actually had worked on here a little bit ago, and I'll just call this my design alternative, and this is going to be the Highway 20 eastbound road, and we'll just go ahead and open that up. Oops, I'm sorry. I need to go ahead and get my other one. I need the west. That's actually for here, so I'll just choose that. And I have then this westbound road that I want to use as the basis for my design, or at least the start of this for purposes. And again, for the sake of today's illustration, I'm not going to go through and say how I actually drew this in. This is just a standard polyline that I just drew in, fit the curve in. And I actually have a number of other roads in here that I will be bringing in bulk. I'm just going to browse out to my folders where I have this data, and I actually have it in a block. I'm just going to bring that in one shot, so again, we don't spend extra time. bringing all this information in when it's, again, just standard AutoCAD types of draft operations. So what we've got right now then is our westbound lane that is already existing. We've got a proposed eastbound lane that we will take through here, and if I wanted to, I could continue this on to the south, but I'm, again, for today's discussion, really focused on this area and this right up in here. We've got our State Route 84 here on the east, and a little connector road that I've put in, and then also a driveway that's served this residence down towards the south of my project site. And all these right now then will be used here in a little bit inside of our RoadNet application as we go through and start to lay out all these different intersections and design scenarios. So the other part of this project here now that we are in fact missing is the surface model data. Now normally I would go out and want to have this surveyed, but again I was given this time here just about an hour ago. So what I need to do is go out and get some preliminary topography data. And again, we're going to use Google Earth to do that. But we will bring in then a mesh. And before I do that, I'll pick up a new layer here. And I'll just call it 3D mesh. And we'll give it a color of maybe red. I'm in. And again, I'll use this tool now, and I'll import my Google Earth mesh. And again, I'll use that same 0, 0 system and bring it into my drawing. And when I take a look at this now, this is actually a 3D mesh instead of AutoCAD. And what I want to do is explode this into 3D faces. So when I explode that particular 3D mesh and regen my drawing, you can see that I actually have then a series now of just simple 3D faces with Z values on them. And again, this is a very cursory surface model. However, for the sake of doing a preliminary layout, this will be sufficient for what we need to do. When we win the bid for doing the job, we'll actually go out and then actually do a traditional survey, actual site conditions that are going on. So I want to use this data now for the purpose of a surface model, and to do that, the first thing I want to do is actually put a boundary around this, because I do have some areas in here where these 3D faces might cause some triangulation to occur where I don't want. So I'm going to go ahead and create a boundary around these, and I'll do that very quick with my shrink wrap entities command. And I will say that I want to put boundary on a boundary layer, and we will just sort of window out all these objects that we have in here now. And I'll use the most perimeter reduction level that I can. I'll make this a 3D polyline boundary, and I've got that in here right now. And now that I've got my boundary, I'm ready to go ahead and make a surface model. So I will go ahead and choose from my surface menu. Just want to do a triangulate and contour. And again, I'll just go ahead and write out a triangulation file. We'll say it's a file format, and we're going into our Highway 20 folder, so we'll call this maybe Highway 20 existing. For the sake of this particular example, I'm not going to spend the time to draw contours. I can if I want to, but the other thing I do want to mention is that we're specifying a selection option here to use some 3D faces in addition to the other types of 3Ds that we normally use. So let's go ahead and choose OK on this. Being prompted to select my inclusion perimeter, and I'll just choose this boundary polyline that I just put in here. Do I have any exclusion areas that I want to get rid of? And I'll say, no, I don't have anything for that. And then what is it that should form the actual content of the surface model itself? And I'll just go ahead and window again out all this data. We've built our surface model now. And to get just a rough idea of what we've got, let's go to my view menu and do a surface 3D viewer and take a look at this Highway 2010. And again, we've just sort of got a sort of grid of sites, and you can sort of see it does have a little bit of relief to it, but not much. And they're ready to go for us. Okay, so now that we have the surface model built, what I'm going to do is actually set up a new layer in here, and we'll go ahead and create one just for some work things that I want to do. So I'll just call this let's see, I want to make a new layer, and I'll just call it temp for right now. and then I'll go ahead and freeze off my mesh. Okay, that'll help clean us up here a little bit. And since we know we're sort of where we're at on the site here right now, I'm also going to go ahead and just freeze off my image layer so I don't have to look at that in the background. So I'll just go back into view, and again, I will freeze my image layer as well. And I'm just going to leave us now with this particular set of roadway corridors that I'm going to use for this particular project. So the bulk of the rest of the presentation then will be focusing on the Carlson RoadNet application. I'm going to go right into the roads menu of Carlson Civil and choose Road Network. And I'm going to create a brand new roadway network, which is I'm just going to call Highway 20. Again, this does not exist. I want to create it now. I'll say sure. And I'm going to go ahead then and start to use this dialog box over in my AutoCAD environment space to lay out what I want this roadway corridor study to do. So I will go into, the first thing I want to do is jump into my settings and specify what's going to be the model that I'm going to reference for this site. I'll just go ahead and choose an existing surface, and I'll call this the Highway 2010 existing surface. And I will maybe set my station interval right now is at every 25 feet, which would be this, and every 10-foot area in my intersections. And when I'm processing my roadway corridor study, I'll go in and I will issue my triangulate and contour routine to build a roads surface model. And I'll just go ahead and choose OK on that. And then I'll also maybe merge that roads surface model in with the existing ground, and I'll call that maybe a merged surface model. And for those of you using Carlson Serve CE with maybe even one of our new handheld ruggedized Carlson Surveyor Pluses that are on special through the end of the year, you might also want to write out Serve CE stakeout file. That's beyond the scope of today's project, but again, that's another option inside of RoadNet. The design information to be given readily to the surveyors for stakeout purposes. So you have a true field of finish inside of Carlson Survey, but then also back into the field when you use Carlson Civil's RoadNet and Serve CE routines out in the field. So with that, then I'll go ahead and start adding in all of these center lines in here, all these polylines as center lines for my particular roadway. So I'll just choose underneath my road, which I'm going to add, will start off here at the top. I'm going to green pick a polyline, and I will choose my eastbound lane. And I'll actually back up here, I'll just create a brand new design profile in here, so I will call this maybe like Highway 20 eastbound. Open that up. Again, it does not exist. And we'll go ahead then and pull in here a template that I've already built, maybe in another job I've used. So I've got these stored up in my Carlson projects folder. So I'll just jump up one folder, and I have a roadway template that I want to use here called lane. And I'll look at that in just a minute. We'll open that up. So a few opening things on this particular scenario here right now. Since the eastbound lanes are already existing, they're not going to be reconstructed. All we need to really do to study these eastbound lanes is use it for intersections only. So we're not going to redesign this entire route. We'll simply leave it there as it is, at least for the sake of getting my preliminary work done. And later on, if we determine that through the study that actually, it looks like I got my roadway. I'm sorry, this is westbound. All right, need to change this here a little bit. So I'm going to change my profile, and I will call this actually Highway 20 westbound. My convention's straight here. There we go. And when I take a look at this now, first thing we'll want to do is go ahead and take a look at file data. So we're going to go out and read up the surface model, and this looks like it's a very hilly site. And you can see as I move along my profile here that I get a little marker that indicates where I'm at on this roadway project. And let's take a minute and just zoom up and sort of show you that this is, in fact, relatively flat site. Even if I put it in at a 1-to-1, you can see it is actually pretty shallow out in here. Even at a 2-to-1, there's not a lot of relief out in here. But just to give you an idea then that Carlson Software will give you the ability to sort of change your vertical scale or the amount of exaggeration that you were looking at for this site. And as we were going through, let me just go that what I want to do is maybe put in some vertical curves in here for this particular roadway project. So I'll just click on a little add icon here in the profile viewer and graphically choose about where I want to have a profile. And I'll indicate this is about maybe an 800-foot long vertical curve. I'll just choose OK. And I'll just go ahead and add in a few more in here. And I'll do this rather quickly. And I'll maybe put one in that's a 600-foot long vertical curve. And I will, let's just change these around. I'm not sure I really like, I'll just go ahead and make changes in here and put these in. And then I'll also go through and add in one more, actually maybe two more. And I'll choose OK there. And OK, so we said, OK, that vertical curve is too long, so we'll just actually back that down to maybe 300 feet. So if vertical curve tries to put some stuff in that won't make sense for the design highway, Carlson Software will tell me that, and then finally we'll add in just one more right in here, and we'll put this in as maybe a 700-foot vertical curve. Nope, and that one's still too long, so we'll just go ahead and say that maybe that's 550. So Carlson Software has helped me determine what my design should be based on the that I'm specifying, and if there are areas in this site now or in this profile that I want to tweak and change, do that easily. I'll just grab a pencil like here and maybe say I want to just raise this up here just a little bit. Maybe we'll go ahead and we'll lower this one down and bring it over here just a little bit, and maybe I'll take this one and raise it up to ground here just a little bit, and we'll move maybe this profile over here a little bit to better account for the terrains that I'll be working with. And I can just save this now and exit. And we'll take a look briefly then also at the template that we'll be using for that study. Let's go ahead and choose Edit. And in this particular template, I've got a 12-foot wide driving lane at a 2% cross slope. I've got an 8-foot wide shoulder on both sides at a -4% slope. I've got 9 inches of concrete, and then I also have basically another 12 inches of aggregate underneath that. So I want a firm base here for all this. And as I'm taking a look at the subgrade information in here, one of the things that I'm telling the software to do is I want this to be made out of concrete, and at the edge of this I want to go straight up. And what I want to have happen is this is the edge of pavement. And what I want this subgrade to do is tie into this edge of pavement code. Wherever the edge of pavement goes, this subgrade material will go along with it based on this EP code that I have in here. And with my 8-foot shoulder, take a look at this particular scenario. We've got, again, that straight-up procedure that I want to say for my aggregate, I want it to go wherever the edge of pavement is, plus an extra 8 feet, so that as my paved wide narrows, my shoulder will widen and narrow along with that, or maintain that offset. It's made out of aggregate. For my slopes in here, then, I've got a ditch going on for cut those 3-to-1 4 slope, and then a 6-foot wide flat bottom ditch, and I cut 3-to-1. And in my fill scenario, again, I just have a single standard 3-to-1 fill slope, and choose OK for that. And then finally, the last thing I want to mention in here is my super elevation parameters. I am saying that the edge of pavement is in fact will be my high side pivot point and my low side pivot. So with that, we've got the basics or the foundation for this particular template then, and we'll just go ahead and choose to exit this, and we'll save sure. And then we'll just continue adding in the remainder of the roads I'll be working with. So I'll go ahead and add in, maybe again a screen pick polyline, and I'll choose now this will be the eastbound lane, so I'll assign this center line to a polyline file. And again, go back up into my folder here. I want my Highway 20, and I'll call this the Highway 20 eastbound. And we'll go grab the Highway 20 eastbound profile right now, which hasn't been set. But hey, this will be a brand new one. We'll get rid of what we had in there. We'll just replace it with something brand new. And again, for the sake of discussion today, I'll just go ahead and quickly add in some profile data in here, similar to what we just did with the westbound lanes. And we'll just, again, rough this in here real quick and get a preliminary idea of what we want the road to look like. And we'll just put in 2 more, maybe 1 more, and we'll put it in right about, say, there, and we'll call it, again, a 600-foot vertical curve, and we'll just choose OK. And I'd say that's going to probably be okay for the start of what we're going to need in here. And if I want, I can put this, I can move that around. Do want to mention that, for your PVI edit mode, you can set this in here to free, which is what I've been doing right now. If I want to hold a slope in or hold a slope out or hold an elevation or a station value, again, I can choose what I want to do in here. So if I'm holding maybe the slope in, I like this slope right here, and I make some modifications. As I go through, I can use this to maintain that slope. And certainly that's not, what I want to do, so I'll just go ahead and maybe free this back up and just sort of bring it to where I want. We do give you some of those controls to maintain different aspects of the design profile itself. All right, so I'm okay with that, and we'll exit out of there. We're going to pick up that same 2-lane that I put in here before, and we'll just hit OK. And then we'll just add in the rest of these here real quick. So I'll pick a power line. We'll choose that road right there. We'll assign it to maybe state route 84. And we'll just create a brand new profile for that one. And on this one, we'll still use that same template. Intersection. This will also be an intersection-only road. Again, all I needed to do is intersect where I have this entrance road, so this is an intersection only. And we'll finally add in this little connector in here. And let's call it connector. And again, we got it in our Highway 20 folder, which is fine. And our profile. And then finally, and one of the things you'll start to see here now is now that we've added that in, we do start to form some intersections between the connector and the eastbound lanes, the westbound lane, connector, and Highway 4. And for the connector, however, we're not standard 2-lane, but what I want to use actually is maybe just what I call a ramp template, and we'll take that here in just a minute. About the only thing that's really different than this one is that the pavement width is actually a 12-foot wide driving lane here, and it is actually sort of asymmetrical. It's got a positive 2% slope going up here and a 2%, so it doesn't have a crown. It's just a flat grade across here, and it's got a narrower shoulder. So we're going to use this for our drainage purposes for both the connector road and then also our driveway entrance. And I'll just go ahead and exit out of this. And choose OK, and then add in more screen pick polyline. And we'll assign that to the driveway. And we'll just say save. So there's the formation then of all of our roads that make up this roadway network. And again, as I go through and take a look at these, I can highlight each road in succession, and the software will let me know which one I'm looking at. I can go through, and if there's changes that I want to make to any one of them, I can take a look at them, look at the information I can do that. However, to start, what we want to do is we'll just run a first pass in here and just see how we're doing. And we'll let RoadNet go process up all this information. And one of the things I need to do here is actually turn off a few of my, I forgot one toggle. Okay, so take a look. Again, I said we're not going to redesign the westbound lanes in here, even though looks like I did a really nice job with it. I'm going to go ahead and say, nope, that's beyond the scope of the project today. So I'm going to edit this and turn my intersection only option on here, and we'll choose OK. And again, we'll just simply reprocess now and bring it back to just the new part of the design that I'm worried about. And that new part, again, is the area formed by my new road, just the intersection where I have some of this stuff going on. So I'm going to window in on this area in here. You can see we've got curb returns going on, a little pavement that's going in through here, just the pavement area only in this little intersection. We've got then a little turning lane or the entrance lane in here, along with the tie-in to State Route 84. And to look at all this now, we'll just sort of get an idea of how we're doing. So I'm just going to go into my View menu, and we'll just do a quick Surface 3D Viewer routine. And we'll take a look at my merged surface model, which is the result of my RoadNet processing. So as I window in here now and take a look at this, and sort of get an idea of how this is going to look in sort of 3 dimensions. And again, you crown of my road going through the curve in here, so we haven't done any super elevation yet. A little interchange for my westbound lanes, and then also where I have this all tying in. And again, I want to see how this is all working out. For the most part, I'd say this is starting to look pretty decent. So we certainly have a number of safety criteria, though, that we have to fulfill for this particular site. One of the things I'm going to do in here is sort of window in on this little area, and one thing that I want to do is put in a deceleration lane or a left-hand turning lane to service this little intersection. So I'll go through, and I don't really know the stationings right now of where I want this to occur. So I'm going to take a look at maybe my Highway 20 eastbound in here just a little bit. And when I go to edit this, I'm going to use the profile editor here to sort of get an idea of where I'm at the site. And as I look now at my profiles, you can see I actually have some yellow lines in here. And as you see, I move my cursor through here, and especially over in the plan view, this is where I have my intersections occurring. You can see that I'm coming up to the intersection here with my connector road, and that basically ends up at right around 22 plus 19 is a big number. And we'll go ahead and say, well, maybe I want to start my left-hand turning lane maybe somewhere right around the 18 plus 50, yeah. And then have my left-hand turning lane actually wrap up, say, right at 20 plus 00. So those are going to be the station ranges that I'm going to use for that left-hand turn lane. Now, because this left-hand turn lane is actually also on a curve, there's a couple of different ways I can do this. Probably the easiest to approach, in my opinion, is to use what we call the template point the template transition. So on my eastbound lane, I'm going to go ahead and choose my template transition. Let's create a brand new one here. We'll call this Highway 20 eastbound, and we'll just open this up. And I will now edit this to say what do I want it to do. Go ahead and add in a template position. I want to begin transition from a standard 12-foot driving lane at 18 plus 50, and I want to perhaps provide a 150-foot transition width, so right off station 20 plus 00 on this particular project, and then we're going to end up at 22 plus 00 and not even taper back into a normal. We'll just let it go abruptly here. And in this transition zone, what I want to have happen is right now I'm on a 12-foot wide pavement lane. I'm going to go ahead and say that I would actually like to add 9 extra pavement to this for my left turning lane, and call it a 21-foot now offset. And we're just kicked out that side of the template, and we're going to apply this just to the left side of the road as we're going through this little intersection area. Okay, so we've got extra widening going on. As you can see, as I added in that new value in here, my shoulder also kicked out to maintain that offset, or its 8-foot width, which is it. And I'll just go ahead and choose OK, and OK on my template position. The other thing that I'd like to do is also apply some super elevation. So we'll go ahead and create some super elevation, and again, we'll call this maybe the Highway 20 super elevation. And we're going to go ahead and use some AASHTO-specifications to build the super elevation data. I'm going to use my AASHTO methodology. I've got a 2% crown, 2 lanes. They're both 12-foot wide. I'm going to target the design speed, this corridor in here at 60 miles an hour, and I'll apply a 2/3, 1/3 rule for my transitions. Use the AASHTO max elevation rate. So I just choose OK on that. And the reference center line in here now will actually be my Highway 20 eastbound. Choose open. And Carlson Software will then go out, grab the station values from the alignment, super elevation data from the speed table, bring it in, let me take a look at it. And if I, as a designer, want to fine-tune the design, I have control to do that by just coming into a dialog box and specifying where these station values should occur. And we provide a lot of very detail-oriented kinds of work for you if you want to further control the design of your project. But okay with the AASHTO specifications, I'll just leave it as it is, and we'll just choose OK and save on that. So we've got the first start of then this intersection. The other thing I'd also like to do is apply some, you'll notice that when we looked at the 3D viewer window that there was also a crown over here in just this little interchange. For the sake of today's discussion, I'll also go through and say for the Highway 20 westbound, we'll do that same thing. Even though we're only using just a small portion of that, we will basically model an existing super elevation data set in here. So for my Highway 20 westbound, say that this is a Highway 20 westbound super elevation. Let's open that up. It does not exist. We'll create it. And again, we'll just go through that same process, and we'll just say OK. We'll use the Highway 20 westbound lane, and then there's those values. We'll save that off. And we'll go ahead now, and one of the things I'll like to do here is just sort of window in this area. So if you take a look at the pavement width, which is this area right now, when I go ahead and process this, you'll see that this will actually kick out that new sign offset based on my tape. And as we go through then, we've got this desired width. And if I really wanted to, what I could have probably done was continued that transition actually through this interchange here a little bit, so that if I have trucks running this won't come careening into my ditch, but or shoulder area. But for the sake of today, this analysis is what we want to run. So I'll go ahead and take a look at this now inside of 3D surface viewer window. And we'll again look at our merged surface model and see got what we're after. And when we window in on this area and take a look at it, you can see the crown. Hopefully you can see the crown starting in down through here, widening and transitioning out in that super elevation area, and then back in normal later on in the design. So, and also same thing happens down here for this little interchange. Again, this portion of the westbound lanes has super elevated, even though just a fraction of the road was actually. So we're getting closer now on what I want to have happen for this preliminary design. And another thing that I want to take a look at is maybe this little area over in here. Now, we talked a little bit about using the template transition to accommodate this. I also want to mention that there's another approach, and that approach is to actually use maybe just a polyline. So as we call a template point center line. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw in just a polyline, and I'll start it off maybe back over here a little bit. And what I want to do is find a little bit of an area for the residents, if it is a local farm. I'm pretty sure they're going to have implement tractors and things like that out on the highway getting to and from their fields, and I want to provide them an area where they can slow down and make a turn without just blocking a lane of traffic as they're doing that. Again, I want to try and keep this site as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose from the nearest option in here to about right, let's say right in. Now let's sort of kick out here just a little bit and just sort of come more or less parallel with my road. I'm not going to get too fine-tuned with this right now. And what I want to do then is turn this into a center line. So I'll just go in and run the polyline to center line command. And I'll go ahead and specify that I want to make this my approach center line, my approach alignment, and we'll just starting station value, and we'll give it that line. And what I'm going to do now then is for my eastbound lanes is come back in, add this in as a template point center line. So we've got some template point transitioning occurring over here down this side of the road. I can continue to use this if I want to because I can have as many template transitions on the job as I want. But again, for the sake of showing the feature or the functionality, I'll just go ahead and choose my template point center line. And I'll go ahead and create a brand new one here called approach. And what we'll do then is with this template point center line, I will specify the template I'm using, which is going to be my 2-lane template. And I will use then the point that I want to control will be my edge of pavement. And I will specify the center line as my approach center line. And I will use this on the right-hand side. And again, I can choose as many of these in here as I want. I'll go ahead and save this, and we'll okay, and now just reprocess. So if we take a look at here now, you can see again how this is sort of kicked out here just a little bit. We'll window in on this here a little bit, and see that again I've accounted for some widening here based on either poly line that I want to use. So the poly line gives me very artistic control of how I want my widenings to occur, my narrowings for that matter. And the same thing over here for my template center line. This is a quick and easy thing that so I don't have to draw in those poly lines to further control the site. So the only other part of the RoadNet application that I would probably want to cover here today, and I don't know if we'll have time, we're actually starting to run a little bit short on time, is that of what we call the template point profile, and it's very similar actually in nature to the template center line. So if we take a look, and maybe we'll just talk about it briefly in here. I'll go back into my Highway 20 eastbound, and we'll just choose edit on that. And perhaps there's an area in here where I need to maybe force a ditch profile. Like most of my site in here is actually infill, so I don't really have much in the way of needing ditches in here. And for the ones that are there, they're actually pretty short. So what I could do, however, is I could create a template point center line, and I'll keep the naming conventions consistent here. And again, it's very similar in its nature to the template point center line. What I do is I basically set the reference template, again, my two-link roadway template in here, and then I can simply add in what point I want to control. Maybe I control the toe force slope on my ditch, maybe the toe back ditch. I can choose which one of those I want to use, and then specify a profile file to create. So if I've got a design application where I want my ditch to a very specific elevation or grade, I can go ahead and set that in there, and then again choose which side of the road my profile is going to apply to, whether it should hold its offset, or it's maintain a slope. So again, it's very, very similar to template point center line and provides elevation control for different portions of your corridor study. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and actually just cancel out of that. We'll keep off as none. And then finally, the last thing I want to do here is a quick little wrap-up, and is actually write out some sections in here. So as I go through and take a look at my cross-sections, we'll go ahead and say this is the Highway 20 eastbound, and this will be my existing set of sections. And we'll go ahead and choose a Highway 20 eastbound final. Let's just say FN here to keep it nice and simple. And we'll just go ahead and choose OK, reprocess the design. And again, we'll just crank through this one more time. And what I want to do then is take a look at those sections to make sure that are what I'm looking for this preliminary design. So I'll go back into my, actually now in my sections menu inside of Civil, and I'll choose to input edit my section file. I'll choose the finished grade surface sections that I just built, coupled with maybe the existing ground sections that I also have, and we'll say open up on that. And then I can simply choose to take a look at a particular station. So if I want to take a look at these, you can see that I've got this one. Maybe I can go and go up through my list in here if I want. And what I'll do now is actually go to my next section. And I can keep clicking next. Or if I want to try to get a sort of like a free form in here, I can sort of just window along in here, sort of seeing how my sections are behaving, getting an idea of what's actually going on. And as I get into my site, you'll start to see roadway widening is occurring as elevation. And then we'll taper back into our normal road. And maybe to sort of automate this process here a little bit, we'll just simply do a drive. So back, start of my road, and we'll choose the drive option. We'll go 60 miles an hour, and we'll do the full grid range, and we'll auto these. So right now then, the software will basically go through, step through each cross-section, bring it into the display for me so I can sort of see how my design is behaving. And then if there's areas in here that I want to change, I can certainly go in and either do modifications directly here in the section file, or probably more importantly, what I really want to do is go back and actually make the changes to my final alignments, whether it's a template point, transition, or center line or profile, to make mine what I want to be. So I won't get into actually creating the creation of a sheet today. Actually, there was a webinar that was produced just a few weeks ago that did an excellent job on that. It was how to show types and profiles inside of final profile sheets and section sheets hosted by Jim Reinbold. There's also additional 3D data that was, or design information that was produced about 2 weeks ago from Mike Hyman. Both of those are very, very good webinars to go and look at for additional details. I encourage you to visit the Carlson website for that. So I guess, Boyd, do we have questions?
I think I've answered them all. I'd encourage questions, though. The attendee list seems to be about half of them, well, maybe not half, but a few of them didn't seem to have audio.
Oh, okay.
Or at least, here's a question. Wait, hold on. An unanswered question. How do you access the Google Earth tools? All right.
I knew that was going to be, so I added it here, ready to go. It turns out that you go up to the Autodesk Labs site, and this is what they call the Google Earth extension beta. I can't necessarily 100% recommend it for design purposes. Again, I just did this for preliminary studies, wanted to give an idea, but this something that was posted on their website. You can download it, take a look at it, and use it for your analysis needs. I recommend design tool, but it is there.
I posted that link.
Okay.
Take one more little survey here. Don't see any unanswered questions, and nobody's got their hand raised, so.
Well, barring any unforeseen difficulties, we will have this webinar recorded and posted to the Carlson website shortly. Able to certainly download it and review it. Again, any last-minute questions then, Boyd?
I don't think so. Everybody, I'd encourage you to ask your questions if you have them, but thank you for attending.
All right. Well, thanks again for